Greetings, critters. It's Fox here, and welcome to my Burrow of Thoughts, aka my channel, where we talk about everything spooky. And today will be a double spooky book review of some Boris Bacic books. I have It Came with the Crash and It Came from the Ice. So settle into your burrows because things are about to get spooky. Okay, critters. The first Boris Bacic book we're going to get into is It Came with the Crash. So a little bit about the plot of this one. There are 6 crash survivors struggling to keep alive and sane, but also think they are being stalked, watched, and picked off one by one. Soon it doesn't just become a matter of will someone come rescue? It becomes a question of do we need to rescue ourselves? Okay, so my thoughts on It Came with the Crash. So first off, this is a really slow burn and it's kind of oddly paced because the first portion of the book is so character and survivalist and survivalism focused that there's not enough spook or creature feature or any kind of horror element other than the real horror of being in a plane crash. Now, it was too character focused and survival focused for the first part, but I really felt it was just for too long in general. The characters themselves weren't great. I mean, they had their backstories and their personalities, but they all just kind of seemed really typical. Not the usual Boris character work was done in this book, which was a little bit of a bummer. The pace, characters, and the waiting for the spook factor really hindered my experience to get engaged into this book itself. I just thought it took way too long for anything to really happen, but once it does happen, that part of the book is really good. It's just, I don't know if I would justify the first probably 2/3 of the book for the last portion. I don't know if it balances out for me. So again, I did find the pace really odd for that. The creature itself was okay. It was a little generic. It wasn't overly like new and fresh, but I'm very particular when it comes to my creature features. So I can be a little bit of a hard critic on this trope. The attack scenes were really cool. I love those. I love that part of the book. I loved the ending of the book. The epilogue was great. And all in all, it was just the pacing and the way that it played out that really hindered my enjoyment of this book. Now, you can't love everything by your favorite author, but overall, I did enjoy it, just not enough, I think, again, to justify the pace, the character work, and all of that. So that all being said, I am rating this novel 2 tails out of 5. It is a good ending. It's just like I said, I'm not sure it was worth reading in the beginning. It kind of felt like I could have skim read the first 2/3 of the book and then dove into the end of the book and really enjoyed it that way. But that's not how I like to read. I like to really get engrossed in a story, and this one just didn't grab me. So again, It Came with the Crash. I'm rating 2 tails out of 5. Okay, the second book I'm going to be talking about by Boris Bacic is It Came from the Ice. A little bit about the plot of this book. In the harsh Antarctic tundra, a life form lies in waiting for a host. Upon its discovery and its escape, soon blood will soak the Antarctic snow. So my thoughts on It Came from the Ice by Boris Bacic. Now, this movie leans a little bit more silly and comedic. and I was there for it. From this author that is new to me, I don't find he uses humor too often, so I really enjoyed that in this book. It was a good change of pace. This premise and the playout of this book did remind me of a movie. Not The Thing, but Slither. If you've seen Slither, go read this book, and I think you'll know what I'm talking about. I don't want to spoil anything, but this really did remind me of Slither, but with more genuine horror elements, because in between the little bits of ridiculousness, there are moments of blood and terror of this life form taking over hosts and things getting topsy-turvy right quick. Now, I liked the mix of characters. There were characters I didn't like, there were characters I didn't care about, and there were a couple that I was rooting for. And I like when I have that mix of characters, because if the one that I don't like dies, that just makes me happy. So I enjoyed the characters. They didn't have too much of backstory, but for the length of this book, the character development worked. So that was very, very good. Now, I love creature features. I'm actually a little hard on those types of reads because I'm very particular in my creature features. And this one was really cool with it being set in this Antarctic tundra, white Mars situation. You're completely isolated in this desolate place with a life form on the loose. Loved it. It was great. And like I said, it had the blood, it had the tension, it had the horror, and it had the setting. So I enjoyed this book. So yes, I liked this book. So therefore, I'm rating it a 4 out of 5 tails. I enjoyed it. I liked reading it. It was a better creature feature for me than it came with The Crash. So I'm super happy that I read these closer together. And again, I am rating this 4 tails out of 5. It came from the ice. Well, critters, that's all from this Den of Frights today. Thank you so much for being here and watching and your support. It means the whole wide and wild wilderness to me, critters. It really does. And until next time, stay cozy and stay spooky.